what I'm going to cover today is, I guess in a nutshell, the economic collapse, why people aren't awake to it. Like, why nobody seems to, not so much not care, but they're like, it's not going to happen, don't worry. But I'm sure if you ask anybody from Greece or Spain right at the current making of this video, they're probably going to tell you that they're not in good shape. And is it done by design? Yes, to a point, but now it's just kind of the roller coaster ride that their fate is in their own hands. They have to take the reins themselves. They have to take control of themselves, and they're not. Why? Because, and it's the same thing with what happened here in Montreal. The students, a lot of people think it was just about, student tuitions going up in Quebec. No, that's the straw that broke the camel's back. That's not what it's about. What it's about is they go to school and they can't find you're flipping burgers with a PhD. You know what I'm saying? And degrees in worthlessness, like Gerald Celente would say. And again, if you listen to guys like Gerald Celente, the man is always right. He's always right. But he's not like clairvoyant or anything like that. He's realistic about it and how it happens. But like him, I don't give you a date and time. I just give you, this is the direction we're taking. And he does the same thing. And, he does it exceptionally well. Alex Jones, well, he's a fearmonger. I mean, he makes his money scaring the crap out of people. Again, the guy has a very good track record. So when we're seeing that stuff up here in Canada, well, we're seeing it everywhere. Now, Spain, at the making of this video, like yesterday was like a roller coaster. They find out that all this austerity is coming to them after they voted in a government that said they weren't going to do austerity. The problem is not the government anymore. The government, you can't blame the government anymore. They're idiots. If you're blaming the government, there's nothing that can be done. We're a loss. Because the governments are irresponsible. The bankers are irresponsible. It's the apathy of not, there's nothing we do about it anyway. And then bitch about, okay, well, don't cut my, don't make me work till I'm 67. I'm in Canada. And I do have to work till I'm 67. But yet we keep things like Bill 101 and the Queen and in the UN and NATO and stuff like that when we could put that onto my, retirement. So whose fault is it? Is it the government's? No, they're going to do what they're going to do. Whose fault it is the people who haven't said nothing. Or it's not going to happen here. Again, until it hits people in the pocket, they don't rise up, they don't do nothing. Make no mistake, if you are here in Canada, we're just behind the times. It's not that we're in a better shape. Our government, and I know I'm going to get slagged in the head for doing this in the sense of, Harper bashers or whatever. This is no longer about left or right. This is about who's doing what's right, who's doing what's wrong. Harper government has done some good things. I know it's hard to say, it's hard to accept, but they have done some good things. Problem is they're doing more bad things than they're doing good things. I voted for them because to get rid of the gun registry. That was the only thing I cared about because of what that means. Gun rights, I think, are the self-defense is, when the UN tanks do roll on Canada and the United States, and they will. I remember people saying this to me years ago, saying, yeah, when the UN tanks come here, I'm like, cuckoo. You just have to look at the state of things. I mean, again, a new bill came out here in Canada that allows American law enforcement to come into Canada to arrest people. They have the same power as the RCMP. I can't make this stuff up. It's too scary. We look at Greece and Spain. What are they doing? They're still asking for the government to save them. They can't. But it's coming here. The NDAA, the NDRP, that was for every country on the planet. It might have been implemented in the States, but trust me, that's going everywhere. Every government is doing that, some form of it. They have plans. And the thing is who is going to be the biggest person to blame for the economic crash? The bankers, who just took advantage of people who were setting themselves to get taken advantage of by getting rid of the Glass-Steagall and stuff like that? Or the government who's, in Canada we are socialist fascist, basically change the laws so that it favors big business. And don't kid me, the NDP, they would, the NDP complains about it now, but they would do the exact same thing in power. A good example is of the flip-flop, particularly with like Bob Rae, the liberal, I guess he's technically the Liberal Party leader. Oh, bad oil sands, bad oil sands, bad oil sands. Okay, Ontario is completely broke. We need more transfer payments from Alberta. Those oil sands are our savior. You know what I'm saying? Like they flip-flop. At least with the Harper government saying, yeah, we like it. We do it. We don't care if you like it or not. That's the problem they have, is that they're not good with the people. But there are some great conservative MPs out there. Problem is if you don't tell them to do it, they're not going to do it. They're just going to follow the agenda. And trust me, there's lots of things I don't like. I don't like losing any constitutional sovereignty at all. There's a lot of people that still can't grasp the idea of too big to fail should be substituted for too complicated to work. It's just, 2 plus 2 don't make 5. You can't spend more money than you make. And if you're still asking the government to bail you out, that's your fault. It's somebody else's fault. If you are not getting a hold of your MPs and MLAs and telling them, hey, you know what, we need to change our banking system so that, banks can fail, so that the Canadian public is not on the hook when these banks give out loans to people who can't possibly pay them back, and then say, okay, yeah, pay us now. That's what happened in 2008. Oh, take as much money as you want. Oh, yeah, no credit rating, defaulted, bankruptcy 10 times. Yeah, we'll give you a house. Don't worry. You get 50 years to pay it off. Don't worry. Oh, yeah, by the way, okay, now that you have the house, guess what? Pay us back. Everybody at once. That's what happened in 2008. And the bankers were laughing. Why? Because they got the bailout. They know they're going to get the bailout, so they're going to do it again. Why? Okay, we did something that was horrible to everybody, but we made a shitload of money off of it. And they haven't changed anything. They're still doing it. They're going to do it again. Don't believe me? Well, that's what happened about 2 days ago in Spain. Oh yeah, all this austerity. The German taxpayers are fed up. Saying, okay, well, Spain's saying, okay, well, we voted in a government that says they weren't going to do austerity, they weren't going to do raise taxes, and they weren't going to cut services, which is austerity, basically. So, yeah, they weren't going to do that. They voted these guys in yesterday. What did they do? Raise taxes and austerity, major riots, right? It's like, oh, the government let us down. Well, they're going to let you down. You know what I mean? That's why you need, and do you blame the German people? Saying, okay, you know what? If we're going to be spending our tax dollars to bail those people out, well, then we want to have control on what they spend on. I get the sovereignty part of it. I do. But they're in a rock and a hard place. I mean, sorry, Spain, but you're using somebody else's money now. And it doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. If I have to pay for your mistakes, I'm going to say, well, this, I want to make sure it's not going to happen again, but it's going to happen again because they're still doing the same thing. Now, Germany's been trying to get Canada to help out with the European crisis, and Canada won't, at least Prime Minister Harper's like, Canadian taxpayers are not going to be, bailing out European banks and governments or whatever. And I hope he sticks with that because, again, we're taxed to death here. And, again, but whose fault is that? I mean, every new tax that comes out, there's going to be a sword tax, I'm sure, a shiny sword tax and a a dull sword tax and a sword sharpening tax. You get the idea. And the tax, and there's a breathing tax and a handling tax, a sword handling tax. Nobody votes this stuff in. You know what I mean? That's just an example. But you get it. Like most of our taxes, we don't vote in. They just do it, and we say nothing. And then we bitch about it after, saying, "Oh, well, it's their fault." No, it's our fault for not being vigilant and saying, "Hey, you know what? We don't want this." BC did something kind of good last year. They had a referendum, and I think referendums are the key in Canada on every issue, because we can't trust our politicians. I mean, we hire them to do one job, and they run amok. They're like, okay, well, we're going to pass this bill, because we think that's what they want. No. Just do the job we hired you for. And until they get that idea in their head, nothing gets fixed. And make no mistake, it is going to hit here in Canada. And the reason why most people are kind of oblivious to it is that most people that are oblivious to it still have their jobs. And if you're a government worker here in Canada, I'm telling you, look for a job in the private sector soon. I mean, again, what the Conservative government is doing is basically paying government workers to go away. So when it does collapse, they have less people to deal with. And the NDP wants to, hire every person that the Conservatives lay off. So it's going to happen here, because that's what's happening over there. You know what I mean? Again, if you're asking the government to fix it, no, we have to fix it, period. How do we fix it? We call our MPs or MLAs and tell them, hey, you know what? We want an honest banking system. We want to go back pre-1974. It might be a little bit too late. And I hate to say this, but the Conservative government, although there are a lot of things that they're doing, and I know every bill that they're passing and not passing, stuff like that, they're doing more good than not, believe it or not. So they barely pass on a report card for me. So, but they need to make tax cuts. They need to do the austerity. The problem is they're starting from the bottom up, and all governments will. So the little guy gets screwed first. And if the big guy even gets a hit. I mean, if we want to fix Canada, we need to get rid of things such as Bill 101. We need to get rid of the Queen. We need to privatize CBC, Air Canada, stuff like that. We need to get out of the UN, NATO. So I know this sounds mean, but we need to stop the foreign aid stuff. That's, ridiculous amounts of money, and invest that back on Canadians. And we also need to do that so that, and we have to deregulate a lot of stuff. Why? So that people can have choice again. I mean, think about it. If your tax dollars went only where you wanted them to go, how much of a benefit would that be to you? Yeah, but what about the other people who've got to spread the wealth? It doesn't work like that. Spread the wealth means you just pull everybody down to the lowest level. I know it's a hard concept to grasp, but that's what it is. Put it to you this way. Let's say you have $10 in your pocket, and there's 10 people, and they have nothing in their pockets. If you spread it out amongst all 10 people, everybody gets $1. So that's kind of fair, right? Okay, what if 100 people show up? Everybody gets 10 cents. Why? Because we only have $10. So the more people you got to spread it on, spreading the wealth just brings everybody's wealth level down. You lose your middle class. When you lose your middle class, you lose everything. And the other thing we need to do in this country is welfare reform. I know I'm not saying get rid of it. We need it, but we need to reform it so that people don't live on it. Get people working. But people can't work. Why? Because of minimum wages. They're not good either. I know it sounds ridiculous, but the more people you have working, that's simple. The bigger your economy is going to be. And again, until we make these, I'll make more videos on those individual subjects, just so I can make my point clear before people bash me over the head. But if you're left wing and you're thinking the government's going to bail you out, they're not. They can't. And with the way things are set up, they're still set up the way they were in 2008. Oh, a few tweaks here and there, like Canada, making it now you have to have a 20% down payment on a house for a 25-year mortgage rather than a 15% down payment on a 30-year mortgage. It doesn't matter. People aren't buying houses. They're not going to buy houses. It's going to come to a halt. Why? Because it's a false economy. You're building houses faster than people can afford to buy them. That simple. So we're doing what the States was doing in 2008. So like I say, Canada's just behind the time. We're not better off. We're just behind the time. And we will collapse. Make no mistake. We're stepping in the right direction, but we needed to do this like 20 years ago. So we'll see what happens. And again, I know there's Harper haters out there, and but you have to look at it bill per bill. I'm not looking at him as a person. I'm looking at him, what is he doing? Well, there's a lot of things that he's doing that I don't like. Anything that gives up any sort of Canadian sovereignty, I don't like. I don't like bailouts of the big guys. I don't like that. But I do like trade deals to a point if it doesn't interfere with Canadian sovereignty. That stuff will work. But more importantly, we need jobs in this country. And we can only get that from a local level. All right, rate, subscribe. Okay, what I'm going to cover today is, I guess in a nutshell, the economic collapse, why people aren't awake to it. Why nobody seems to, not so much not care, but they're like, it's not going to happen, don't worry. But I'm sure if you ask anybody from Greece or Spain right at the curtain making of this video, they're probably going to tell you that they're not in good shape. And is it done by design? Yes, to a point, but now it's just kind of the roller coaster ride that their fate is in their own hands. They have to take the reins themselves. They have to take control of themselves. And they're not. Why? Because, and it's the same thing with what happened here in Montreal, the students. A lot of people think it was just about, student tuitions going up in Quebec. No, that's the straw that broke the camel's back. That's not what it's about. What it's about is they go to school and they can't find it. You're flipping burgers with a PhD. You know what I'm saying? And, degrees in worthlessness, like Gerald Celente would say. And again, if you listen to guys like Gerald Celente, the man is always right. He's always right. But he's not like clairvoyant or anything like that. He's realistic about it and how it happens. But like him, I don't give you a date and time. I just give you, this is the direction we're taking. And he does the same thing. And, he does it exceptionally well. Alex Jones, well, he's a fearmonger. I mean, he makes his money scaring the crap out of people. Again, the guy has a very good track record. So when we're seeing that stuff up here in Canada, well, we're seeing it everywhere. Now, Spain, at the making of this video, like yesterday was like a roller coaster. They find out that all this austerity is coming to them after they voted in a government that said they weren't going to do austerity. The problem is not the government anymore. The government, you can't blame the government anymore. They're idiots. If you're blaming the government, there's nothing that can be done. We're a loss. Because the governments are irresponsible.